Welcome, welcome, welcome. Here we are again, another week, another gridiron BS of the week. So, Chris, how's your week been, mate? How you doing?
I'm all right, thanks, Kev. Just been a bit busy. Yeah, I've done my coaching, but I've done no game planning yet, so it's getting tight now.
So, how'd you get on with your coaching?
We don't want to talk about that, Kev. That's a very, very sore subject, and no, we won't discuss it because there'll be a lot of foul language that might offend our viewer.
All right. So, we got anyone on with us this week, mate?
Yes, we are extremely happy to have with us this week Colin and his swarming of giant hornets. Welcome, Colin.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here. Thanks for asking me. I'm going to do a review of a few games. So we'll start with Kevin. So, Kevin, off to you.
Okay, mate. Cheers. Well, we have to have somebody on, don't we, Chris, that knows what the hell they're talking about? Because you and I couldn't fill a postage stamp, you know.
Exactly. Absolutely spot on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you remember, Chris, but see when we were down in Bristol having our last pints together, and you said you like a bit of role play, or wouldn't it be good to do a bit of role reversal? Well, I was thinking that maybe this week I should do the analysis and you should do the questioning. How does that sound to you, mate?
You said you wouldn't mention my fetish for role play.
I did, but you know, we're amongst friends. Okay, so kicking the ball off then, let's start with the games. This week it was the inter whatever the hell it is. PFC against the LFC, basically. Yeah, so what we'll do is we'll just run through them in order. So the top game on the list, as you can see, was the Fire against the Warriors. I've got to be honest here, Fire 42, Warriors 3. So despite the fact that Ambrose took a 3-0 lead right at the very start, the fact that Patrick then came back with 42 unanswered points just about sums up the whole game. And Patrick moves back to the top of his division. That's one heck of a division there. I think the worst record is 2-2. So it's a pretty strong division there. Next game on the list, Sun Devils 33 and the Bulldogs 7. Okay, we all know that basically the Bulldogs rebuilding program is ongoing, as it were. Sun Devils basically are also continuing to improve, and they're now 2-2 for the season. So not much to say about that game. A pretty straightforward 33-7 win. Next one on the list, to be quite honest, surprised me quite a bit here. The Titans 40, the 66ers 7. I really didn't think the gap would be anything like that. Basically, the 66ers have got the 8th best defense in the whole of Big Sky. And despite the scoreline, which I know looks very one-sided, James only managed to move the ball 179 yards in the air and 46 yards on the ground. So it wasn't massive sort of figures, if you know what I mean, considering the score was 40 points. But what did happen was that James was absolutely relentless. The first 7 plays all resulted in scores. So the first 7 drives that the Titans had resulted in scores. And by the 21-minute mark, the Titans were 40 zip up. That's within 21 minutes. Mm-hmm. So really after that, you've got your game over offense, game over defense on, and it's just like it's curtains, as it were. But I was surprised to see that one, to be quite honest. And then the 4th game on my little list here is the Knights 33, the Rough Riders 27. Now, this was a cracking game. It was nip and tuck all the way, pretty much within one score the whole game. What I do have to say, though, is both quarterbacks had a bit of an off day, to say the least. 39% completion rate and 30% completion rate for the other quarterback. So not exactly setting the heather alight. And this, I would say, was a game of mistakes, really. And to be quite honest, the team that made the fewest mistakes won. So to give you an idea of what happened in the game, 30 seconds into the game, and the Knights basically throw an interception, which leads to a touchdown. Okay, that's 30 seconds gone. And we've had our first mistake. Within 4 minutes, The Rough Riders then fumble, but they get away with it. There's no damage. In 7 minutes, the Rough Riders again fumble a snap on their own 5-yard line. So guess what? Touchdown goes back to the Knights. In the 13th minute, the Rough Riders miss a field goal. It's a 40-yard field goal, but 40 yards is within that range you'd sort of expect it to go in, if you know what I mean. 23rd minute, the Knights fumble, but again, they get away with it. 28th minute, Rough Riders fumble, which leads to a touchdown. So we're now sitting at 14-14 at half time. Most of the scores have come from mistakes, as it were. We then go into the second half, and the Knights throw an interception in the 34th minute, which leads to a touchdown. 40th minute, the favour is returned by the Rough Riders, and they throw an interception, which leads to a field goal. The 41st minute, just a minute later, Rough Riders fumble the ball, which leads to a touchdown. Okay, 51 minutes now, and the Knights throw an interception, which leads to a field goal, which then makes the score 30-27. And basically, there's a bit of back and throw because we still had about 9 minutes of the game left. The Knights had another field goal, and that's basically game over. But as you can see there, this was really just a mass of fumbles, interceptions, and whoever could get the ball over the line ended up being the winner, really. Pete's Rough Riders seem to be on a comeback train, but again, I'm afraid if you self-destruct like that, you know, you're going to get punished, as it were. So those really were the first 4 games on the list. Colin, you take over because people will be getting bored of my voice now. So, what games did you watch?
First game I watched, Kevin, the Patriots versus the Stormers. Both of them were undefeated, if I recall, 3-0. And both of them really good pass offenses, good to watch. Wow, it was 34-22 at half time to the Stormers. And although the Patriots got it back to 34-32 with 20 minutes left, the Stormers ran out 54-38 winners. Loads of yardage. Oakwell, 561 yards passing. Pritchard for the Stormers, 319 yards rushing. And the Washington quarterback, Ant, he stuck up 289 yards. So big scoring game, loads of points, over 1,000 yards on the offense. So not very good for the defensive connoisseur, but a good game to watch, loads of scoring. And they say 40 minutes, it was quite close, but then the Stormers just ran out. So well played. Great game, Mark. Unlucky Steve. What can I say? Good game to watch. The next game we're looking at, Devils and the Statesmen. Devils gave up 7 turnovers. That's a big story in this game. 7 turnovers, none for the Statesmen. It was level at half time, I think. But loads of points in the third quarter and the fourth quarter, and the Statesmen ran out winners. So just too many turnovers for the Devils, and the Statesmen ran out 41-35 winners in a close game, being 14-all at half time. What was anything to note? Reykjavik over 500 yards passing, and the Statesmen over 270 yards passing. Loads of yards in the air, but again, the 7 turnovers from the Devils. Just it's very difficult to win with that. Really hard work. The next game, Chargers the Shadows. Chargers won 31-24 halftime. Chargers are up 24-14, and despite the Shadows rallying, they weren't really in it, and I don't think it was that close again. The Chargers running out, as I say, close, but not really close. 31-24. Say again.
Don't tell the Chargers coach that, for God's sake.
Yeah. Next game, a really odd game. It's my game versus the Beverly Bay Packers. This is a strange game if you ever want to watch one. We just chugged out to a 13-0 lead at half time. A couple of 4th and goals, and the Packers held me up on the 1-yard line. And then at half time, nothing much happened. The 37th minute, we were having a punt and we fumbled it, gave up a 10-yard punt fumble return. Packers down the field and score. That was the first of 5 minutes of madness. We got the kickoff and we scored off the kickoff. We kicked a touchback. They did an 80-yard sweep, backing it again. I got the ball, ran down the field, scored again. It was like 14-14 in 5 minutes. Absolutely chaotic. But somehow I managed to score a little field goal in there to re-establish the 2-score lead and a low. Tom got a score late on. And I think on the 59th minute, he did an onside kick, being 2 points behind. We managed to recover it. And instead of, as you'd expect, to just kneel on the ball, we threw a 22-yard pass. What's that about? So we nearly lost on the onside touch kickoff, and we nearly lost because he was throwing a pass instead of just taking a knee. So we won by 2 points. Really strange because our kicker's quite a high level and he's missing more points after touchdown again. He must be one of the unluckiest people to score one, I think, on points after touchdown. Like 1 to 100, and he scores a 1 or 99 or 100, he misses. It's just unbelievable. A really, really close win. A good game, not for the faint-hearted, but yeah, 28 points in 5 minutes. It was end-to-end stuff. Fun to watch.
So, any of those games there, Chris, catch your eye that you in the first bit there that we were talking about?
Obviously, there's Colin again. Keeps winning, doesn't know how to lose. But I think Mark's Stormers are really coming on strong. It's kind of come out of nowhere because he's been struggling the last few seasons, and all of a sudden this year. And then again, as you said about the Titans, I mean, it's very, very interesting. You know, James has done magnificently in the last couple of seasons because, again, he was struggling. If you can call James's team struggling, because by definition, his definition of struggling is, you know, winning 6 games. But he's really come on strong again. So it's going to be really interesting as it moves forward, as it gets towards the playoffs.
Are they both 4-4 in the division?
I believe they are, yeah.
And I believe they're playing each other this week. Titans
and
Stormers.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of 2 games, Titans Stormers.
Yeah, that'll be a decided. Yeah, it could be decided because I think we've got 5 teams on unbeaten so far. I think. Not sure.
I'll just check for you.
I think it's some. But as you say, it's going to end this week, though.
Yeah, there's the Lincoln Rapiers. They're 4-0. Rivets 4-0. Stormers and Titans are 4-0. They're all in the PFC, and then in the LFC, there's myself and Weasels at 4-0. And I'm playing some random team from north of the border this week.
I know.
So I'm not quite sure.
So you'll be 5-0 is what you're trying to tell me in a nice, polite way, sir.
I'm just saying it's going to be a good, fun game. I'm looking forward to it.
Is that the team that dressed for the Eurovision Song Contest? Is it that team?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, swiftly moving on. Let's have a look at some more games, shall we? Okay, so the Irish 13, the Bombers 6. This was a funny old game. It went backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And it was sort of, it was 6-6 for quite a while. And then we had a brilliant Irish quick pass going out to Williams, who broke into open field and scored a 72-yard touchdown. And that basically won the game. A bit like, you know, you see these in football or soccer or whatever we call it. You see these wonder goals. Well, that was a bit like that. It was one of these runs that just broke the whole game open. Ended up 13-6. So really that was the winning touchdown. Next game, Rapiers 19, the Rhinos 14. Rhinos didn't half put up some defence here because I think a lot of us probably fancied the Rapiers to run away a little bit more with this one. But great defensive play, really by both teams. the Rhinos basically were leading 14-13 at half time. So they really had a good first half. But two field goals in the third quarter basically sealed it for Phil. As I say, very much backwards and forwards game. I think personally what dictated this game was Phil basically held on to the ball for 38 minutes. So he had a lot of possession, which basically prevented the Rhinos from going back and scoring, as it were. And that was probably the difference in the game. But a real sort of defensive game now, I think, but some really good team planning there, because if you look at it, it's backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards all the way. Next game, Maroons 21, Massive 28. Oh my God, this was another great battle. Mount Dore Massive passing offense in particular, their MVP, the quarterback overreach. Well, they were, well, to be quite honest, I can only use the one word. They were massive. They threw it for 445 yards. Then, nevertheless, despite throwing it for 445 yards, when we went into the fourth quarter, the scores were 21-21. So it's still anyone's game here. But in the 49th minute, we talked about the last, in the other game, the Irish game, there being a wonder touchdown. Well, what about this? A 93-yard touchdown to basically from overreach to the wide receiver Kordek. And he had a fantastic game with over 100 yards as well. And that really gave Martin a 28-21 lead. There's still lots of time left in this game, because I'd say that was in 49 minutes. So you still had 11 minutes left. But despite a lot of pressure and going backwards and forwards, then basically Scott just wasn't able to get the ball over that line, as it were. And so the Massive came out 28-21 winners, but a real good game. Have a watch of that one. And the last one on my little list is the Eagles 15, the Phoenix 28. I don't know if this is a surprise or not. Andy's always been there or thereabouts. And Ian came onto the scene last season as the young whippersnapper, beating everyone before him. And he seems to have got his act back together again. I think he had a bit of a blip against a certain team. I can't remember who that was. Can you, Colin?
No.
But Ian's running game is really what it's all about here. And it was just really too much for Andy's defense, to be quite honest. They ran for 311 yards. There seems to be a bit of an imbalance between passing and running. If you have a good passing game, you're looking at 400, 500 yards. If you have a good running game, you're looking at late 200s, early 300 yards. But basically, the Phoenix are the number one in rushing in Big Sky, and they're 30th in passing. Okay, so you're not really surprised when Ian runs the ball. Andy's defense, in contrast, is 28th on the rush defense, and it's third in the pass defense. So there was a bit of a mismatch here, in as much as the running team is going to pay the passing defense, as it were. So I do think it's a bit unfair of Ian to actually carry the ball for 58 times and only try and throw it 9 times. But I think it was to be expected. And again, I think that was really the difference, is Andy's defense just could not cope with that rushing offense of Ian's. And it's a pretty damn good rushing offense. So it ended up 28-15. So those are the games that I had a look at. Colin, did you ever look at any more, mate?
No.
No? Okay, excellent.
Yeah, I looked at the Bucks against the Surfers, Tortuga Buccaneers. Quite a close scoring game. 18 to the Surfers, 9 to the Bucks. Lots of turnovers, 6 turnovers conceded by Central Coast Service, 4 for the Bucks. And it was only really won in the 58th minute with a safety that put Surfers 2 scores in front and to win by 9. Lots of sacks. I think there was 11 sacks in the game. 3 missed field goals, and quite a lot of yards, but just turnovers spoilt it. The quarterback Gumby for Central Coast, 340 yards, and Tortuga had 2 quarterbacks. One did 107, the other did 106. So plenty of movement, but not much scoring because of the turnovers. But it was close till the end, because I say it was only won by a safety in the 58th minute. When you're only 1 score behind, it can turn around in a flash. So close game, well done. Next game, Rivets versus the Sharks. Rivets, unstoppable, even when they couldn't move the ball because they were 437 points in front by half time. Still managed to get another 300 points for field goals, and they ran out 82 points to 6 winners. Well done, Conrad. No comment to Ben. But 82-6, that's a statement win by Conrad. I think he's off to the #1 position in the playoffs, and that points difference is going to go a long way to do it. But 67-0 at half time. Not only would my end of game team be on, I think my 14 reserves, mothers, sisters, brother-in-law would be playing, and everybody else would be on the coach home. But yeah, tremendous win and just humongous points. Next game, the Weymouth Bay Huskies against the Rushmores. This was the battle of the first win status. Yeah. And I'm sorry if I do a spoiler here, but well done, Kevin. You scored, I think, 1.5 points for first win status.
No, but 2 points. Get it right, mate. Yeah, top of the board, mate. Top of the board.
Yeah. Well done, you. 16. That was it. 16-0 open and 16-3 and 16-10. But in the fourth quarter, you ran out 29-10 winners. Weren't really troubled by it. Weymouth Bay's passed through, is it 367 yards, another good passing thing. But really, I think you had the game under control. Well played. Nice first win of the season.
Thank you, Sam.
I'd just also say you're not bottom of the division anymore. Just thought I'd mention that, just in case you hadn't noticed.
No, I definitely noticed, mate. It's the first thing I looked at after I, did my lap of honour.
Yeah. And because I had to get rid of your chair, and I didn't like it anymore. It didn't go with my decor. And you wanted it back, so I've had to send your chair back.
No, it's okay.
And the last game we're going to look at is, if I can read my writing, is the Wolverhampton versus somebody else. And I can't even read my writing, so I'll have to go into. You must excuse me while I just put the standings up.
Weasels and Rooms? No.
It was the Wolverhampton Weasels versus versus Seattle Generals. And it was 34-3 to the Weasels. Not really a close game. Just Weasels 3 points in the first quarter, 7 points in all the other 3 quarters. Put up 222 yards rushing. Seattle didn't do any passing at all, and rushing yards they had 145. 5 turnovers the Weasels gave up, so it would have been a bit of a bigger margin if they hadn't have had the turnovers. But a good win, a good win for Ben, and Eben's just sadly not with us at the moment, I don't think. But great win.
Yeah, Ben's putting together a great team there, isn't he?
He is. Yeah. And that's me done. That's my last 4. Thank you.
Excellent stuff. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on any games there that stand out apart from my win, obviously?
Well, clearly your win is the standout, Kev.
Of course it is, mate.
Game of the week.
It's actually a collector's item, that.
I think the game that stands out for me is as Colin said, and you said, is probably Ian's win over Andy.
Yeah.
I think that's a statement win. It's never easy to beat Andy, and Ian's looking very, very promising again. Considering how new he is to the game, he's doing remarkably well. But that's the one that stands out for me. What about you? Other than your own game, of course.
Well, I find it difficult to look past that, to be quite honest, but especially when I look at my next fixture, because I'm just thinking I need to bask in the sunlight right now because it's going to get bloody cloudy next week.
Well, of course, the problem you've got is Colin already mentioned. He's looking at points differential. So if he's going to catch the rivets and get that #1 spot, well,
he may well get.
I'm surprised you're on, Colin. I'm surprised you're not game planning now.
I've already done my game planning.
Yeah, turn up.
That doesn't bode well, Kev.
It doesn't, mate. Tell me. It's that evil laugh of his that really puts me off,
Well, I have to say that Ben from the Weasels is plus 121, and we're only plus 88. So we're 33 points behind off the top spot in the LFC. It's always nice to have top spot when you go into the playoffs. But it's not always the case. So I'll be looking to, over the next few weeks, as I say, my game against the Packers was tremendous. If you ever get 5 minutes, just watch 37 to 42 minutes, and you'll just like going, "What the heck is going on here?" Just one end to the other. It was outrageous.
Yeah, brilliant stuff, mate. Brilliant. Well, look, gentlemen, I think tempers is fugiting and all that sort of stuff. So I think we better draw close to it. Unfortunately, I shan't be around next week, but hopefully we're going to try and get a guest to sit in for with Chris, if that's okay. But we'll see how we get on. I shall be sunning myself, having now won a game. I can relax. The season's over.
Naturally.
Are you telling everybody where you're going, Kevin?
No, it's a secret because I don't want to know. Because if I did, people might contact me.
Cosby might, yes.
Yeah.
Don't forget to put a picture on WhatsApp of you in your Speedos.
Yeah, I will do it. Well,
have a great time. Have a great time.
I will do, mate. Okay. Anyway, gentlemen, thank you very much indeed. To everyone out there, it's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from
thank you for inviting me on. You're very kind.
Cheers, guys. Bye now.
Thanks for coming on, Carl.